doing? Are you okay? You just seem down.
What am I gonna do? People are expecting me to do a recap of the chapter I missed in Toriko, but I just can't.
Wait, we're not doing a recap?
Well, I was preparing the script, but this doesn't feel like it deserves a DBZ-like recap, let alone a Gintama recap, or a Naruto recap, or a Bleach recap, One Piece recap, hell, even a Toriko recap.
Oh, come on, the chapter wasn't bad. Sure, we get a backstory of a character that not a lot of people like, but it still wasn't terrible. Wait, is this the reason why you didn't review it? Because you're bored?
No, it's just I couldn't bring myself to care. Don't get me wrong, the backstory was sad, but I just feel like that there are more important things in the story that we should know instead of that.
Well, whether you like it or not, people are expecting a recap of the chapter.
I know. Oh, I got it. I'll just do a double chapter review. I'll just have to make it very quick.
Alright, since that problem's now solved, I'll just wait until we get to the fairy tale recap. By the way, doesn't it feel like we're copying some other YouTuber?
No. I really don't know what you're talking about.
You sure? Because I feel like this style was from...
Sorry, time's up. Cue the intro. Hey guys, Spawn27 here, and today I'm going to do a double Toriko chapter review. So let's get started with Toriko chapter 261, Ootake's Ambition. Because of the Bishokukai members that defected to Neo, Ootake was injured. So Komatsu goes off to cook some food for him, even though Neo has stolen all their high quality ingredients. However, Komatsu says it will be okay since he was able to hear the ingredients' voices. After he came back cooking some nice food for Ootake, we learn what happened right after the Bishokukai went off to the cooking fest. It seems that the Bishokukai members that defected to Neo attacked the headquarters, as well as taken not only their ingredients, but probably a couple of people of their own. All that was left were the kidnapped chefs and the Bishokukai members that were still loyal and have not defected to Neo. Why hasn't Ootake defected to Neo, since this might seem a good opportunity for him? Well, it's because he hasn't gained anything important as of yet ever since he joined the Bishokukai. According to Komatsu, back in their training days, Utake's dream was to hear the word delicious from every single last customer, to make food to satisfy every single customer. However, all that changed because we get Utake's backstory, and this was kind of the part where I felt a bit bored from reading a Toriko chapter. Please let me explain. See, Ootake grew up most of his life in an orphanage, and, okay, I gotta ask, is every single character in Toriko an orphan? Because not once have I seen a character who has a nice happy family with biological parents. Ootake intended to make everything a stepping stone, including his own past, just moving forward and not looking back. However, there was an incident at the orphanage. The orphanage that Ootake came from had received some poisonous ingredients. They didn't have any fully fledged chefs that were able to detoxify the ingredients properly, thus poisoning 12 children in that orphanage. Ootake went there to pay his respects. However, when he went inside the orphanage, he found a tribute to Ootake on the wall. Now, Ootake hated his past, and he never looked back once he graduated, so he became distant and cold-hearted. Despite that, the kids in the orphanage looked up to him, calling him their senpai. And Ootake didn't not even once responded to their calls or to their letters. Hell, they even put in a tiny article where a gourmet critic ripped him to shreds in a review, and despite that, the kids still looked at him with pride. This made Ootake incredibly guilty, so what he decided to do was to become the best senpai that the kids can look up to. He named his restaurant Otogi Castle after the orphanage. Thus began his new dream, becoming a better chef, the best that he can be, using any means necessary. He also intends to cook God and create an orphanage where you can eat it. However, Ootake not once heard the word delicious from Midora, and the chapter ends with Midora returning back to the Bishokukai headquarters. So that is Toriko chapter 261, and to be honest, I thought the chapter was just okay. At least we learn why Ootake was the way he was before, but to be honest, he doesn't seem like he has changed at all. Sure, he wanted to become the best senpai that the kids can look up to now, but it feels like he's using the wrong methods to get to his goal, despite having good intentions. Frankly, it sounds like Ootake hasn't really changed from his old self. I mean, from the very beginning, from what we saw, he was kind of a jerk. I mean, if he wants to make it up for the orphans, the least he could do is not only be the best chef he can be, but also to become a better person. To be honest, I don't like Ootake. And even with this backstory, despite it being sad, I just can't seem to bring myself to care for the guy. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm glad we're getting backstory on characters. It's just that if it was like characters like Starjun or Moranchi or Setsuno, Froze, Komatsu, hell, even the Four Heavenly Kings, then I'm pretty sure everybody would love this chapter. I guess Ootake might have some sort of importance towards the plot, but to be honest, the only important things I actually cared about was learning what Neo did in the Bishokukai headquarters and Midora coming back. So overall, I thought the chapter was okay. I just couldn't bring myself to care for Ootake despite his sad backstory. It felt forced, and to be honest, I actually preferred Midora's backstory than Utake's. But if you guys like it, then that's fine. This is just how I honestly feel about it. Now let's move on with the next chapter. Toriko 262, Midora's dining table. The chapter begins with Starjun trying to figure out a way to apologize for the situation to Midora. However, Midora says that Starjun has nothing to apologize for since he fully accomplished their mission. All the chefs from the human world have been gathered, approximately 1,000 of them. And Starjun tells him about the original chefs defecting to Neo. Midora says that he was aware of the situation with Neo, and he tells him to just leave the ones to betray us because they'll eliminate them eventually. So Midora tells the chefs that they are all part of his combo, and that their one and only job was to make food for him and him alone. The Bishokukai will gather and provide delicious ingredients from the gourmet world, and he tells all the chefs to hurry up and make anything that could satisfy his stomach, his cells, and everything. Now, some of the chefs refuse to do so since they consider Midora evil. However, Alfaro appears, and it turns out he hasn't defected from Neo. According to him, all the Bishokukai traders that defected to Neo were hypnotized or being manipulated. So is it like Tepe's situation of what Froze did? I mean, were they all cut by Froze's knife or basically had their flavors altered or something? Because it didn't look like they were being hypnotized. But does that also apply to the rest of the members, like the IGO members, the G7 members, the chefs, the Saiseias? I mean, does that apply to everybody in Neo? I was actually hoping that it wasn't hypnotism. I mean, I would like the fact that there are actually true members of Neo. Maybe there are, but in the Bishokukai's case, it doesn't seem like they have truly lost any members at all. Alfaro deduced that whatever happened with Grimpatch, he's also being manipulated. So, wait, is the devil poison that he ate from Coco also has some sort of hypnotic effect on Grimpatch? Is that why he looks like he's totally out of it? What the hell kind of poison was that anyway? Well, regardless, Alfaro tells the chefs that the only fate that awaits anyone that wants to stop working for Midora is death. So basically, cook for Midora or die. However, one of the chefs, which I think I recognize him from the Cooking Fest, says that chefs are sought after to be more noble and virtuous than saint, and that they would never sell their souls to evil. So Midora offers a deal. Anyone that makes him say the word delicious will be sent home. Well, since Midora's stomach has not been satisfied ever since Froze, yeah, these chefs are going to be stuck there for a long time. Now, Komatsu offers himself to cook for Midora despite the Bishokukai not having a lot of food in their storages. One of the chefs asks why Komatsu would do this since Midora is the boss of the Bishokukai. He replies saying that he's a chef, and as a chef, he just wants to make food for someone who's hungry, whether that person is good or evil. Now, within a short amount of time, Komatsu has prepared quite a feast. Ootake has a flashback of Komatsu Komatsu in the kitchen cooking. He offers to help Komatsu, but he says that Ootake has to rest. Now, during Neo's attack, the cooking station has suffered major damage, and the whole place might collapse anytime soon. Wait a minute. If the entire place is about to collapse, why haven't the Bishokukai evacuated? Anyway, Komatsu starts cooking while we learn why Ootake acted like the way he was when he was first introduced. The reason why Ootake acted like this was because he was jealous of Komatsu. He was jealous of his sincere attitude towards ingredients, his talent for cooking, and his pure and earnest personality. It was reason why he lashed out on him, because he didn't want to lose to him. He wanted to catch up to Komatsu, maybe even surpass him. And he knew that Komatsu, ever since his training days, was a genius. Now, back at the present, all the food has been completely eaten by Midora, no doubt because of his hungry tongue. And then we see Midora's face looks incredibly shocked and surprised. His eyes look like he's in some sort of daze. His mouth starts to drool a little. But before we can know what he truly thinks of Komatsu's food, the place starts to shake and the stalk holding the headquarters starts to break. So the Bishokukai headquarters is collapsing. Again, why haven't they evacuated if they knew that this place was on the verge of collapsing? I don't know. Maybe they thought it wouldn't collapse anytime soon. Anyway, the Bishokukai headquarters doesn't actually fall because it was stopped by Midora. Somehow. I don't know. Hungry face? Hungry tongue? I don't know how he did it. Anyway, a grin appears on Midora's face and he starts to laugh. What the hell? I guess ever since the Bishokukai, Midora has not once smiled whenever he ate anything. Not even the century soup, which has made people grin, those goofy ass grins. Not even that was able to make Midora smile. So Midora asks the chef what his name is, and Komatsu introduces himself as, well, Komatsu. However, he has a request for Midora, and he asks that if everybody can eat together, because meals always taste better when you eat in a group. Midora then smiles and tells Komatsu that he can go home if he wants to. So yeah, even though he did not say the word delicious, he did say that any chef that makes satisfying food for him, they can go home. Which means that Komatsu's food was able to satisfy even Midora. But the weirdest thing is, Komatsu refuses to leave. Why? Because a certain someone is going to come get him, and that he wants to wait for him here. Obviously, he's referring to Toriko, but are you kidding me? I mean, you've been taken hostage by this organization, and the leader is offering you a chance to leave, a chance for freedom, and he refuses because he knows that Toriko is going to come after him, and he wants to wait for him. Why doesn't he just go to Toriko? Komatsu really wants to be the damsel in distress in this chapter. So yeah, that is Toriko chapter 262. What did I think? Oh, honestly, I actually did kind of like this chapter. Now, I actually am starting to understand more of Ootake. It seems that he is trying to catch up to Komatsu. He was jealous of him because of his skills, and he wants to at least surpass him, or at least catch up to him. Well, since Komatsu has now been able to satisfy Midora's hunger with his food, at least I think that's what happened, even though he didn't say delicious. Yeah, Komatsu is way beyond Utake's reach right now. Despite that, I was baffled that Komatsu wants to stay in the Bishokukai. I mean, he really wants to be the damsel in distress in this story? I guess this was supposed to show how confident he is in Toriko and how much faith he has in him. Although some people I know might consider this a weird-ass bromance moment. But maybe another reason why is that maybe he can learn a couple more things in the Bishokukai. There have been rumors saying that he might obtain gourmet cells, but honestly, I just don't see it. Komatsu, so far, seems to be the only normal person that doesn't have gourmet cells, and I'd rather have it stick this way. But then again, it's just me, and I know some of you guys definitely want Komatsu to at least gain some skills in fighting or to at least defend himself. The next issue is going to be 25 pages, and the Human World arc is going to reach its climax. So I believe the next chapter might be the final chapter of the Human World arc, and maybe we might move on to Neo. I highly doubt we'll move on with the gourmet world, because I think we won't get to that for a long time. Maybe we'll learn about Neo's intentions even further. Maybe we'll get to see what's happening with Toriko. I'm not sure. Or maybe we'll follow up of Komatsu inside the Bishokukai. Maybe in the next chapter we'll finally get the four Heavenly Kings heading towards Chichiri's final ingredient. So yeah, that is Toriko chapter 261 and 262. I'm gonna respond 27, and I will see you guys later.